Hello, hello. My name is Michelle, and I am a 49-year-old part-time teacher trying to turn into a full-time landlord who rents to Section 8 tenants. So I know in my last video, somebody commented that they would be interested in like following along on my real estate journey. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me, sit down and give y'all a little bit more of a background of my real estate journey. Hopefully this is not going to be too long because I tend to like not have videos over about 10 to 15 minutes. So if I get to 15 minutes with this story, I may have to do like a part two. So anyway, I originally started investing in real estate like in 2000, probably six. Yeah, it was about 2006. So that would be what, 18 years ago. And how it came about was I had a friend of a friend who was investing in real estate in our hometown, and she lived there. And I was like, my grandmother had been recently put into a nursing home because she was like at the early stages of dementia. And so her house literally was empty. Now, when I say literally, I don't mean literally because it was a bunch of stuff in the house, but like she wasn't there anymore. And so I reached out to my mom and was like, hey, do you think I could have the house? And she was like, well, let me check. She had to check with my uncle because technically my grandmother had already said that like when she passed away, she wanted him to get the house. But luckily he hadn't lived in our hometown in probably like over 40 years. So he was like, sure. So my aunt found out like what the process was. So they sold me the house for $1. So in 2006, I buy my grandmother's house for $1. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. It's all brick. It's an amazing house. It has a basement and everything. And plus my grandmother, because she was such a forward thinker, she even bought like the little lot beside her. So I have that too. So I get the house in 2006, but at that point I'm working full time as a teacher. So I have no desire to do anything in real estate, but I just was being nostalgic because I just felt like, well, gosh, I remember going to this house and I have all these memories connected to the house. So I just felt like I wanted to keep it in the family. So the friend of a friend, she ended up managing the property for me. And she did that, gosh, up until like 4 years ago, up until 2020. And I am sad to say that because I really did not have anywhere near the level of awareness that I have right now about money, I didn't do anything with that money other than spend it. I didn't save, I didn't pay stuff off. I mean, I didn't even save for like repairs because I tend to not live a very extravagant life. So I was just able to, anytime repairs needed to be made, I could just kind of pull those from my full time income or put it on a credit card and then pay it down. So it was looking back, I'm just like kicking myself. But you know what? Hindsight's 2020. So anyway, fast forward to 2020. And that's when after we had to go back as teachers, I was just stressed, like really stressed, and was like, okay, I don't know how much longer I can do this. So I ended up finding a part-time position. And once I got the part-time position, in my mind, I really thought it was only going to last like the first semester, maybe 1 year. There was no way in the world that I thought I'd be able to afford this because I had, like I said, I wasn't horrible with money, but it definitely wasn't really on my radar. Plus, I had just bought a Tesla. So I was like, there's no way in the world I'll be able to like afford to live on half of what I make. Because I think at the time I was probably making about 80, which means like then I had to go down to 40. But one of the ways that I was able to do that is I had factored in my rent from my Section 8 property. So at the time, 4 years ago, Section 8 was paying like $700, which, was great for me. But just to show the change in real estate, if I was doing Section 8 with that house right now, I would get like close to 1,700. So you can see it's a big gap. But I think it's, in response to the affordable housing crisis. And they're really trying to convince people to, possibly rent their houses to Section 8 tenants. So fast forward to 2020, I start, really looking into like, okay, I'm doing part-time. I'm loving it because my work hours are literally 7:45 to 11:45. Sometimes I stay till 12:31. it doesn't even matter how late I stay. Just knowing that I'm technically done at 11:45 was like, oh my gosh, how can I keep doing this? So I tried all sorts of different little things to make money, literally. Like, I mean, I became a notary, which is hilarious because I still haven't even gotten the actual stamp. But I've done like standardized testing on the weekends. Hello, my love. Mwah. Okay, get down. I've done standardized testing on the weekends. I did Saturday school. I've babysat children at church because there's these, I can't remember the name of the organization, but evidently churches sometimes are short staffed and they need people to come in and watch the kids. And since I didn't give you all my background, but I spent 16 years in elementary school, 4 years in middle, and then this is my 4th year in high school. So maybe I spent 17 years in elementary. But anyway, so I can deal with children of literally all ages. But I tried that. I did adult ad for second language learners. So I was teaching people who wanted to learn English. Sorry. Get down. What else did I do? I mean, I did all sorts of stuff. Oh, I started a teacher pay teacher store. I started posting stuff on there. I started this YouTube channel. I mean, all sorts of stuff to try to make money. And literally I felt like a little spirit tapped me on the shoulder and was like, Michelle, what about real estate? And I'm like, bless you, buddy. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, are you kidding me? I am literally sitting on a gold mine. So I probably figured that out. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, like in 2021. And it was like end of the year 2021, like November. And that's when I decided, you know what? I could get more serious about this real estate. And that actually might help me, stay in this part-time role. At that point in 2021, I was not even thinking that real estate could help me retire early from teaching. I really just was thinking, it could help me supplement my income. So at that time, excuse me for the sniffles. So at that time, I ended up creating an LLC and I'm like, okay, I'm 10 toes down. I'm doing this. Now, I had a Section 8 tenant at that time, but then she ended up having to move out because her kids, 1 or 2 of her children tested positive for lead in their system. Now, she told me that the kids already had lead in their system, but when that happens, when you're on subsidized housing like that, they, of course, are holding the landlord responsible. So then they come out, they test the paint. Well, I mean, the house is almost 100 years old. So needless to say, they found lead. So it ended up costing me about 15,000 to get all that fixed on top of just repairing the place because she kind of messed it up. Because the issue was once it was found it had lead, then she was able to move because they're like, well, it's not safe for your kids to stay there. So she moved out, I want to say in February of last year. So like January of 2023, she moves out. Now, the thing about Section 8 is it's amazing because you get your money. Like it's like clockwork. But so for the 1st of February, I didn't get any money. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Now at this point, the rent was, I think about maybe 900, probably 800 or 900 at that point, maybe. It may have even been 1,000. But so that really wreaked havoc on my finances. Now, at this point, though, my credit is still good because, I've paid stuff on time. I haven't overextended myself. But now I'm trying to fix this house up. And because I was strictly a beginner in this world of business, I did not do anything in my business name. I did everything in my name. And so I ended up completely ruining my credit because I had like personal lines of credit and all sorts of stuff that I couldn't pay back, but I had to use that money to try to get the house fixed so that I could rent it out again. So I had, I listened to a bunch of Bigger Pockets and other real estate things. And somebody was talking about rent by the room. And, oh, you know what? At the time, the rent was $1,200 because what I decided was, okay, well, you know what? If I could do rent by the room, then that way I could probably get $1,200, but then all my money's not connected to like this one person. So what I did was, I want to say I came up with that idea. She moved out in February, probably September, maybe, is when I was like, okay, let's see if I could do this. Well, I also realized that like by last September, I was like, you know what, this actually could like help me not just pay off some bills and just stay afloat, but actually get ahead. So I did all my research. I did my rent by the room. I got everything from like Wayfair, and I'm an out of town investor, but all my family is still back in my hometown. So I have a lot of people that can kind of help when I need it. And I also use TaskRabbit. I mean, that has been a lifesaver because I have found people to do open houses for me, to change the batteries in my digital locks, to clean for me. So, I mean, that has just been like my lifeline. So anyway, I do rent by the room, which has been an amazing experience, especially for someone like me who really didn't have a lot of real estate experience, because I only even managed that one tenant for like really a year, and I did all the rookie mistakes. Like, I didn't really vet her. I just wanted somebody in there so that I could get that money because I was trying to stay afloat. That's also how I learned about velocity banking, so it was really just super focused on like, how can I stay at least afloat in my bills? So fast forward to this year, right now we're in October of 2024. I would say maybe in March of this year, I started realizing like, I don't know how much longer I can teach. I am extremely nervous about school shootings. People at work know I'm literally one school shooting away from not being a teacher, because my anxiety would just be through the roof. Like, I would not be able to go back into a building. And because I've been teaching so long, the world of education has changed. Like, we do these code red drills. They make me so anxious every single time they sound this alarm. And then, you're getting in position just in case this ever happens and someone, shoots up the school. And it just is, it just, even you see, I can't even talk straight. It just makes me so nervous. So I really started thinking in March, okay, Michelle, you got to have a backup, because literally if there's a school shooting, like, I would be done. Like, what would I do? And this is, what I've spent the majority of my adult life doing, is being a teacher. So I really started looking at like real estate. And actually, let me rewind. I really probably started thinking about this last October, because I was like, where could I like get some money to start investing in real estate, to build my real estate portfolio? So what I did last October is I went through, and the cool thing is, how your phone's listening to you, which it bothers some people. I love it, because since I watch so much YouTube, what happens is, it's making suggestions. So it heard me saying something about, I guess, where can I get money from? Maybe I could sell my house. Well, then I started getting these Opendoor commercials. And I was like, what in the world is that? So needless to say, I sold my house through Opendoor. The process was amazing. And I had sold my house kind of the traditional way, where, you have the open houses and then, that whole process. But I knew in this case, because we had the dog, like, I wasn't in a financial position to fix up the house, because, he messed it up a little bit. And then also, like, because I have a dog who hates being in a cage, he doesn't even have a cage. Like, how would I do open houses? And I couldn't even fathom that. So I ended up doing Opendoor, which I was happy with the payout. When I first moved into this house, my previous house, I had made like a $40,000 profit. Unfortunately, once again, I was not really concerned about my money like that. So I really just blew that money too. So this time around, when I moved in this house, I was like, my goal was to like net 100,000. I didn't quite get 100. I got like 90, but that was still good. So what I did was I saved that money. I made some mistakes because I didn't know the credit game. So I didn't realize that once you're already late and stuff, you paying stuff down at that point, the debt income ratio isn't as, they work in tandem, the debt income ratio and your credit payment history. And so because my credit payment history was, horrible at that point, me putting 20,000 towards that really was, not, in hindsight now, I know it was really a waste of money, because it didn't help my credit at all, really. I still, like, nobody's going to loan me any money right now. Now, granted, I mean, I have made some progress, because at one point my credit was like in the 4s. I was like, oh Jesus. So it is at least in the 6s now. So I have made some progress. But anyway, once I sold the house, put some of that on credit, I saved the rest because I knew I wanted to build my real estate portfolio. So, fast forward to where I am now, which is I just closed on a duplex. Probably, I guess it's been maybe close to a month at this point. So now, like, I'm realizing that real estate is going to be the tool that I use to help me retire early. So that's kind of like the focus. So that is my story in a nutshell. I will definitely do another video about just my rent by the room experience. I don't really feel like I should do a Section 8 video just yet, because honestly, I know people get on here and they, say that, the Section 8 tenants are terrible. And honestly, mine have been great. Now the first, and I mean, when I say great, in 18 years, I mean, I've had like 3 tenants. So, I mean, they stay, there really isn't any issues. And the last tenant, the other 2, my property manager screened and, found for me. The last tenant I found, and I think it was just because, I just didn't really know the process and what to do. So I think that's why that experience was a little hectic. But I think overall I've done well, and I'm okay with, my Section 8 people. So, the plan is that I'm going to do this real estate series and kind of walk you through rehabbing this duplex. I'm also in the process of finishing the basement in my rent by the room house, because I'd love to just rent that out as either a 1-bedroom or a studio. Plus, I mentioned earlier in this video how my grandmother had bought the lot beside her house. So I'm hoping that I can get like possibly a trailer to put like right there and rent that out. And then of course, I also have the duplex that I'm in the process of fixing up. And then on top of that, I'm really trying to retire early. Like, I'm really trying to figure out how this could potentially be like my last year teaching. So, I'll keep you posted on my real estate, journey and stuff. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and hopefully you can get some inspiration or some, energy on, it's never too late to start stuff. Like I said, I'm 49. I'll actually be 50. I think, is it next week? Yeah, next weekend. So it's never too late to start. You just got to focus. And now that we're in this world with YouTube, you literally can learn anything. Just kind of have to discipline yourself to sit down and really focus. So as always, be grateful, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.